All right, number 6, we're determining a and b so that this function will be continuous. If we look at each part of this piecewise function, they're all polynomials, so we know x cubed by itself would be continuous. The line and the parabola, these are all continuous functions. But by putting them together in a piecewise function, to make sure the whole thing is continuous, we need to make sure that they connect each other. So when this ends and this line begins, it needs to be at the same point. And when this line ends and this parabola begins, it has to be at the same point. Real quick before we look at that, in the middle here we have absolute value of x is less than 1. Well, that can be written as x is less than 1 and greater than negative 1. Right, the absolute value, we have positive or negative with the inequality here. And the less than, we're going to have x has to be greater than negative 1, less than positive 1. Alright, so for these to connect, first let's look at what happens when x is negative 1. Well, these two functions have to connect. So the y values have to be the same. I'm going to put negative 1 into the first one. We get negative 1 out. Then negative 1 into our second part of our graph, we get negative 1 for x. And for y, we get the opposite of a plus b. Well, these two things have to be the same. These two y values have to be the same in order for these two to connect and make it continuous at x equals negative 1. So we're going to come up with an equation here. Opposite of a plus b has to equal negative 1. We have to do the same thing when x is positive 1. So we're going to look at what happens these two functions here. If we put positive 1 in here, we get a plus b. Put the positive 1 down here, we get 2 out. So here, these y values have to be the same. A plus b has to equal 2 in order for the function to be continuous at x equals 1. So now we have a system of two equations, two variables. We can use elimination to solve this. We add the two equations since these are already opposites. We get 2b equals 1, so b equals 1/2. And to find out what a is, we can just substitute that back into one of these equations. So a plus 1/2 equals 2. That means a is going to be 1.5 or 3/2. And these two values, if we substitute those in for a and b, is going to make this a continuous function. Any other values for a and b would give us jump discontinuities.